Talk about money and sports because legendary Gamecock A'ja Wilson signed a record-setting new deal with the Las Vegas Aces. They're going to pay her a guaranteed $5 million over the next 3 years.
The WNBA has some huge breaking news. A'ja Wilson is now the highest paid player in the Las Vegas Aces in the history of the league.
Go ahead with your guys up.
It wasn't a sensational dunk or highlight play that caused the WNBA to take the internet by storm. And it's because A'ja Wilson simply changed the course of events with a $5 million contract that is appending the sports industry. The game is evolving, and A'ja's contract is the start of a new era in women's basketball, not just a payday. Receives the monetary acknowledgement it is due.
It's the biggest contract in WNBA history. The 29-year-old was drafted by the Aces back in 2018, leading Las Vegas to the WNBA title in 2022, 2023, and then, again, last year. She's also been named the WNBA's MVP 4 straight years and is also a 2-time Olympic gold medalist.
Since some of you are still catching up, let's start with the fundamentals. A'ja Wilson is a member of the Las Vegas Aces. She is without a doubt the WNBA's top player. She recently became the highest paid athlete in the league's history with a 3-year contract that places her at a level never seen by a female professional basketball player has ever made contact. What's the most bizarre part? Before she ever signed the contract, she earned every single penny of it.
Paper. 4-time MVP, has led the Aces to 3 WNBA championships. As you can see there, the highest total contract value, A'ja Wilson now at the top. She's also a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. She is now signed in Vegas through the 2028 season.
Let's discuss A'ja's actual performance during the 2024 season. Because if you want to know why $5 million feels like a deal, you must take a time to consider these figures: 23 points every contest, 10 rebounds every game, a title that scores. Player of the Year for co-defense. When someone attacked her, she would destroy them before turning around and suffocating them. Them in defense. That person isn't a basketball player. That is an issue. That is a natural force wearing Nikes and a ponytail. Nobody in the women's game can match A'ja Wilson's skill level, and even if someone tries, ask them to name only one to dispute that point with you, and then watch them become silent.
He is the first and currently the only most paid, the highest paid athlete in all of women's basketball in the WNBA. A'ja Wilson just can't help but to break records and sketch her name into stone. Okay, she etched her name into greatness, into the legacy, into like the Hall of Fame.
She has won MVP 4 times as well. In WNBA history, no other player has accomplished it. Not once, not twice, and not 3 times. 4, and neither by playing on a stacked roster while coasting nor by mistake did she accumulate those titles. With her intensity, work ethic, and basketball IQ, she willed those honors into existence. That actually drives analysts insane while attempting to explain it. She is the uncommon player who produces her teammates simply by being on the floor, as everyone's attention is focused on stopping her. Others are given a free look.
3 years, $5 million, and it's fully guaranteed. Fully guaranteed. The largest in WNBA history. We absolutely love that. And then we hear that news and we think,
This is the area that most people sleep on following the Aces' devastating defeat against the Minnesota Lynx in the previous season. A'ja didn't pout on social media. During a press conference, she didn't offer any justifications. She didn't just vanish. Well into the offseason, she sent a straightforward yet brutal SMS message to her staff. If you weren't ashamed of that loss, avoid going to the gym. A leader is someone who holds herself and those around her to a high standard. Standard that the most of professional sportsmen merely feign to possess. Las Vegas did not blink when they wrote that check because of this.
WNBA, but to really say that we are seeing the largest contract in WNBA history to date at $5 million. And for it to be A'ja Wilson, it just makes perfect sense. A'ja Wilson has catapulted this Las Vegas Aces team over the last several years. And this is a team that she was drafted to. Like, this is a place that she has played her entire career.
What about that check now? $5 million sounds enormous, and it is, but let's put it in perspective so you can truly comprehend what recently changed in women's professional sports. $250,000.250 was the previous WNBA Supermax pay. The ceiling was that the top player in the league could only earn that much. Hosting a reasonably popular podcast may earn you more than that. Appearing in 3 commercials for a local grocery chain may earn you more than that. $250,000 was intended to be the honor for being the best basketball player in a professional league. It was offensive, and everyone, for years, players were forced to accept it since there was no other option.
Specifically for a player like A'ja Wilson, who has just had this kind of payday, it could be an extra motivator to keep expanding her game and finding different ways to be successful. I think we best saw that last season with her comfortability out on the perimeter. She's shooting more threes.
The calculations were entirely altered by the new collective bargaining agreement. The Supermax used to cost $250,000 to the new baseline maximum of $1.4 million annually. Then a Jaws agreement went even further, reaching unprecedented area. Obtaining a contract that accurately represents her true market value. This isn't the league. A favor. After years of acting as though women's basketball didn't exist, the league is now finally catching up to reality. Was not a legitimate, expanding, profitable product, but rather some kind of charitable endeavor.
Say that she ain't the best player in the league to me.
It's insane.
It's insanity.
It's absurd.
It's absurd. So for me, man, $5 million on 3 years. She made history today. We have came a long way.
We have come a long way.
A long way.
And this deal's timing is crucial. The WNBA is now experiencing its most rapid expansion. Throughout history, attendance, item sales, television ratings, and social media participation have all increased. The roof. When Caitlin Clark appeared, even those who had never seen a moment of women's, all of a sudden, they could not stop talking about basketball. There are new franchises being added. People who previously turned a blind eye are now pouring in investments. The league is growing its media presence, footprint, in ways that 5 years ago would have appeared unattainable.
Just setting all of those records, like Tarika just said, but doing so, quote, with the utmost confidence, authenticity, and grace. This is what endears people to A'ja Wilson and, by proxy, the Las Vegas Aces and the WNBA. She has been so loyal, whether you look...
Speaking of Caitlin Clark, let's take a moment to recognize the impact her league membership has had on the visibility discourse, since it has a direct bearing on why a deal like A'ja's is currently feasible. When Clark joined the WNBA, he was the most anticipated rookie in the sport's history, and she lived up to expectations. Indiana Fever games have become essential viewing television. While Indiana rejoiced as like they had already won something, arenas filled out and viewership surged. The rest of the league was silently observing the business possibility simply by virtue of her wearing a uniform. Expand in real time. Clark is a marketing machine and a phenomenon, and whatever she does. Because deals like Aya's $5 million contract are more profitable due to women's basketball's increased visibility, acceptable to sponsors and ownership groups throughout the league.
A'ja Wilson was going to be one of these people. If anything, I think also going back to what Nikki Fargas said, the news coming out today as we get ready for training camps over the weekend is because of that love and that passion and that leadership that A'ja Wilson also has.
Every other team in the league uses Aya's deal as a benchmark. If the Aces are prepared to pay, what does that tell every other team about how they are? What is the true value of their top player? Appreciating their own stars? The entire league is under pressure as a result of this arrangement. Performers who are on stage in contract negotiations, elite levels can now cite actual numbers. Agents have a standard. Front offices can no longer claim that low pay are only due to financial limitations. A'ja Wilson simply entered the room, signed her name, and altered the negotiation environment for all WNBA women, whether or not they represent Vegas.
The WNBA's new collective bargaining agreement, the Supermax contract rose from $250,000 in the last CBA to $1.4. That's a huge jump, from $250,000 to $1.4 million. Wilson's contract is fully guaranteed and sets a record for the largest deal in WNBA.
It's also important to emphasize that this contract is about more than just basketball. IT concerns what women's sports have been calling for equal investment, equal recognition, and equal conviction that the product on the floor is both worthwhile to view and worthwhile to compensate the creators. Aya Wilson has been among the loudest voices on this topic, both through her performance and in interviews. She has made it impossible to look away, and the money is now at last beginning to show that impossibility.
Everyone else could get paid. And a part of this announcement for the Aces is that with A'ja Wilson, they have upward of 90% of their scoring from last season.
The Las Vegas Aces are also not finished constructing. Chelsea Gray is locked in, but Aya is the cornerstone, bringing one of the game's most calm and potent point guards with her. Jewel Lloyd has now joined that core, providing the Aces with a big three that is dangerous on paper, but is much more terrifying when you observe how they genuinely play together. This team is designed to compete through 2028, and if you believe the remaining, you are ignoring how anxious other front offices are because the league is content with that time frame. When the topic of the Aces is brought up, $0.5 million, 0.3 years, the most powerful participant in the game, coached by one of the brightest brains in basketball, locked in Las Vegas, and surrounded by exceptional talent. The WNBA has a franchise, a face, and now a financial statement that demonstrates the sport is functioning at an entirely new level. Compared to even 3 years ago, this agreement is the beginning, not the end, and anyone who considers the figures, while everyone else was preoccupied, stop here hasn't been observing what this league has been subtly evolving into.